Hi everybody, welcome to RCWorldFanatics.com. I'm Alex, also known as RC World Fanatics on YouTube. I'm here today with Stefan, also known as freechip on RC Group, and freemarlochip on YouTube. Thanks for letting us be in your workshop today for this how-to on RC.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you. And today we are going to talk about how to repair the wires and doing extension.
Yeah, how to repair servo connectors and making your own extensions.
Perfect, let's get down to it. Okay, so what do we have here? The wire, how did the wire got damaged in the first place?
Okay, so what we have here is a sort of a basic setup where we have a receiver and a servo. Normally there's a lot more wires connected to the receiver. So let's say you wanted to disconnect your servo from the receiver. A lot of the times what people do is instead of grabbing the connector, they simply pull on the wire to disconnect. And this eventually, it's a bad habit, and eventually you end up breaking the wire from the connector. So now we have a wire that servo that doesn't work, and we need to fix it.
Okay. And that's one of the most common way that wires get damaged.
Yeah. Over time, from pulling it, they break, or a bad bend, and the wire can break, cut, get damaged. So we have to fix it.
So what do we need to fix those wires?
Okay, so what we need, number one, is a crimping tool for your servo connectors. You can find this at your local hobby store or online.
And the price is around what about?
This tool is probably a basic one, and it's around $20. Okay. And that's all you really need for this type of job. And we're going to need a servo connector, and on the servo, it is the male connector that you need. These are little the metal pins that will crimp onto the wires, and then they will slide into the male connector. And you can also get the female connectors when you're making your own extensions.
But we'll get into that a little later.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do we proceed?
Okay, so now we have the servo lead. We've removed the old connector, and you can see we have 3 wires. So you have the negative wire, the positive wire, and a single wire. With today's hobby grade servos, you always have 3 wires, and the red wire is always in the middle. It's a standard in the industry. It makes that you can use any servo with any brand receiver.
Okay.
Yeah. So once we've removed the shielding, we'll remove just enough. You don't need a lot. You just need to remove enough to expose the metal wires that we'll be able to crimp onto the little metal connector. So once we remove that, what we're going to do is you take the proper metal connector, and I'm just going to separate these. You can bend them out of the way a little bit, and all you have to do really is position the wire in here like so.
Yeah, right inside of the little clamp there.
Yeah.
Okay,
so now you just position the wire in here, and you can see there's really 2 sections that the first section that's going to be bent holds the shielding of your wire, and then the metal part gets crimped in the second section here. So you just got to temporarily hold it like this, and what I like to do is once it's in position, I take needle nose pliers and I just slightly crimp it so that the connector stays onto the wire.
Okay.
Just like so. It's not completely crimped, but it's just holding on enough so I can use my other hand now with the crimp tool. Okay, so now that we have the little connector, gold connector here crimped onto temporarily crimped onto the cable, we're gonna position it. This particular tool can do different size of connector and wires, so I need to use the bigger size hole. And you position the connector in the tool like so, and all you have to do is gently crimp it.
There you go.
And now here you go. We have a connector and it's repaired.
It's already ready to go.
Yeah, it's ready to go, and we can move on to the other wires.
Perfect.
Okay, now that we're done crimping all 3 connectors, I want to show you here, Alex. You can see here there's two parts that get crimped on the wire.
Okay,
This one gets crimped onto the shielding. This is basically what's holding the wire to the connector.
Okay.
And then this part that gets crimped here is actually crimping onto the metal wire, the exposed, where we remove the shielding at the beginning. And this is what makes the connection, the servo to your receiver.
Okay.
So now that we have all three wires properly crimped, we need to insert these into the male connector that gets connected in the receiver.
Okay.
And as you can see in this connector, there are little plastic tabs right here. Okay, these tabs will lock the metal connector in place so that the connector doesn't come out. Okay, Alex, so now we're ready to insert our wires into the plastic connector. But first, you got to be careful. There's a particular order that these wires go in. In this case, from experience building extensions, I know that the black wire, when I'm holding the connector, my black wire is always the first one up here.
Okay.
But if you're not sure, when you buy these kits, they'll come with instructions where you need to make your connections, the order of which the wire, the color wires need to be in.
Okay.
If you don't have instructions or you're not sure, you can always use an existing servo, and just compare with the existing lead. As you can see here, if I hold it and you can see the tabs, the black wire is on top. The same for regular extension. If you hold the connector and you can see the tab, the black wire is on top. So all we got to do is reproduce the same order on our connector that we're trying to fix. So with the connector and the proper order into the connector, my black wire is on top here. I know the order is right. We're ready to assemble the connector, and all you really have to do is just gently push them in all the way in until they snap in.
Okay, I even heard the snapping.
Yeah, and if you can't push it in, you can use a toothpick like I am here, or a barbecue skewer, and you just push it in. And we heard it, that one click. I'm not sure if the viewers heard it, but now the clicking was the plastic tabs here that end up locking the metal connector in place. So now we have a servo connector repaired.
Oh, so that's how you repair the wire.
That's how you repair a connector for your servo.
Now that we've repaired the wire, I notice it's kind of short compared to, let's say, your other servo right here, which is quite long. So that's when we could use the extension, right?
Yeah. In the RC world, when you're building airplanes, especially ARF kits, ARF stands for almost ready to fly.
And the other kit is the ready to fly one.
RTF kits, they're ready to fly. You generally don't need any extension because, of course, they're ready to fly. They've already all been built by the manufacturer and they're all assembled. But in kits where you supply your own servos, some servo manufacturers have a certain length of servo lead while others have longer. Buying servo extension is a normal process when you're building an ARF kit. Now, of course, you can buy the pre-made extension, but once you have the crimp tool and you have a bunch of connectors, all you really need is to buy yourself a roll of servo lead. This is a roll 50 foot, and you can make your own extension, and eventually this is much more cost effective, making your own extensions at any length you really need, and you save money
to a way better price.
Yeah, you save money. So what we're going to do now is we're going to build our own extension.
Perfect.
Okay, Alex, so when we built the male connector, these are the gold connectors that we use. So to build this particular extension, since we already have the male connector built, we're going to be building the female connector. And as you can see, I've already crimped the metal tabs to it, but
it was the same process as the male one.
It's the same process, exactly the same process, but you can see the connector itself is slightly different. This one has a hole in it which connects to the pins on the receiver, but this one has the pins. but the crimping process is identical.
Okay.
Okay. The connector itself, the plastic connector, is also identical. It's the same exact connector as the male, but once we've assembled it, there's actually a second part that goes onto this one. There's another part that gets connected on top of that. So I'll show you how we assemble this. The order of which we'll make our servo wire connectors is the same as the male. You got there's a specific sequence, a specific order that you need to make your connection. So in this case, like I explained earlier, when we're looking at the tabs, in this particular case, the negative wire will be on the top tab. And all we got to do again, same thing, same process as the male connector, is just push them in until they snap. And if they don't want to go in, you can use either a toothpick or a barbecue skewer. Just push them in until you can hear all three snap. And they're all connected in. Yeah, you can confirm.
Yeah.
They're all nice and secure. But you see now, if you compare with the male has no pins sticking out, but the female has the pins sticking out. So now what we have to do is slide the female adapter onto this one. And there's a particular inside, probably the camera may not catch it, there's a little tab inside, and what the tab is going to do is it's going to lock onto the clip that's here. So again, just being careful how you have to connect them. And you push it on until you hear it snap.
There you go.
Now it's snapped. So now we have built our female connector. And you can confirm that you have the proper orientation by making a connection here.
See, it fits perfectly in.
Yep. So now we have built ourselves a servo extension that we can connect to our servo.
Voila. There you go. Easy peasy.
So thanks for joining us today for this how-to video. Thanks Stefan for taking the time to show us how to repair and doing extension.
No problems, my pleasure.
And especially taking the time using your own shop for this. So thanks a lot. And if you did enjoy this video, we'll be making more how-to video in the near future. If you'd like to see videos on other topic, how-to and everything, contact us at this address. Contact us at rcworldfanatic.com. And subscribe and like us on Facebook. Thanks for being with us today, and take care. Thanks a lot, man.